Ilayka hajati. Ilayka hajati. The Arabic students are looking up at the script, right? You're not looking at the transliteration. So, but spouses, you can stay with me. Ilayka hajati. So, I need you. Ilayka hajati. You is my need. I need is my need. Fi kulli hin.
في كل حين.
Fi kulli hin. They should have had a double L here, but anyway. Fi kulli hin. قلبي not ka. قلبي يرجو سماع صوتك الرحيم. Okay, we'll just do one. We'll do one verse, and then the refrain. Sorry, folks. Somehow I missed the refrain on here. أحتاج إليك دائما. أحتاج إليك دائما. أحتاج باركني يا مخلصي ربي الرحيم. Yeah. So we have a songbook, a transliterated songbook for people who don't read the script. So for the spouses who are like, okay, but the script's not that hard to learn. Really, it's not. Some disagree. Okay, it's much easier than learning Chinese in 10,000 characters. Okay, so anyway, so Linnea is going to play for us.
Yep.
Yes, she's our guitarist, and
We have other guitarists in here too.
we have.
Play.
Why are we doing this? Well, partly because I taught in 202 today, Ahtaju Ileka, partly that reason, and also because music, for some of us, is a big boom in terms of de-stressing. Let me just tell you a little music story. So we had, anyway. We had a young woman who is still in the MTC, right? Isn't
Ella?
Ella
She
in the
is still in
MTC?
the MTC.
Yeah. So Ella's in the MTC on her way to the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and she got her call to serve in. She was in Jordan, and a couple of weeks later, if that long, we find ourselves in Petra. And we're in a cave singing, and guess who should walk up but a group of Dutch tourists. And we see this happen all the time, these little, isn't that interesting? And they're Dutch Christian pilgrims, and they loved the hymn that we were doing, and they said, please do more, and then they did it, and they did a hymn, and so we had one student who was like, isn't this proselyting? He's thinking I've lost my mind, and I've fallen off. Anyway, people are constantly thinking that about me. And in Jerusalem, Jim Curl knows this, just so you know, that we will be singing in churches and so forth, and there's we do not proselyte, but we also do not hide our light. Okay, we worship when we're in places and lift. And so, yes, which reminds me of a line from Elder Clark's talk that I won't share right now. All right. So it's Ilayka hajati fi kulli. I'm just letting them know what they're in for here. Okay.
Do you have Dill's?
I'll just do it.
I don't want to stand in front of that. No,
You can stand.
Sit on that chair over there, or where that
You
chair
can
is.
stand right here.
No, this is good. You can see.
Oh, okay, you can
guys
see.
saw this?
All right. Thank you.
One verse, that's it?
Yeah, one verse, that's it. We can do it again. You want to do it one more time? Yeah, let's do it one more time.
I can always practice it or something. So fortunately, there are people far more talented than I in terms of doing this that you won't have to let me lead you. But thank you very much, Linnea. I gotta say that, okay, let me. Oh, I got it.
So I gotta say that I was so grateful to Brother Clark and the Lord today because he covered the 40 minutes beyond what I can go that I don't need to do. So that's part of orientation, is you want to watch, we want to watch Elder Clark's devotionally embracing the plan. And he said so much more eloquently some of the things that I've been trying to say, and so I'm really excited. But let me give you a little teaser, okay? Some of you who went today, what were your takeaways? I know, Ashley, what was one of your big takeaways today?
So just kind of sometimes Heavenly Father has a different plan than what we think, and like it's not a bad thing that He has a different plan. We just have to learn how to embrace it.
Yeah. So Elder Clark had this idea about not having a transplant. I'm going to be healed. I don't need the transplant. And the Lord was this, oh yes, you need the transplant. And some of you are going to have experiences in Jordan that are going to be quite different than the experience that you had, but in the end, you will be shouting hallelujah, saying, I'm so glad that things went not how I had imagined it to go. Not that you shouldn't imagine he talked about his own experience, and then he said, the Lord Jesus Christ is in your life and way out ahead of you, arranging for things to happen. And it was really a cool thing. He talked about embracing the plan. He said, put your arms around the plan and hold it tight. And then, of course, I would forget that he talked about being the seed of Abraham. Yes. Unique, good stuff there. Deep learning. Oh gosh, you just have to go and watch it for yourself. All right. So I want to tell you some more stories. I'll share some more stories with you. Here we are, Ileka Hajati. I want to go back to we left off with. Remember how we were talking about cognitive aptitude and motivation and these kinds of things. Let me show you. I want to emphasize again. You have gifts that you might not know about. In fact, I think one of the great gifts of the Jordan experience is learning things about yourself that you might not be able to discover at any other time in your life. It's really quite a cool thing. Okay, so let's jump to this chart. This is our group in 2011. And of course, this is a lousy statistical plot. There, I know so many details behind these dots, and I'll try and communicate a little bit of it to you, okay? So what these dots do is they show, on this axis we have satisfaction. So if you're up there, you're having a good time. If you're down here, you're not having a good time, okay? On this axis is progress according to the oral proficiency interview, which is a very, very imperfect thing, right? You should not, as an individual, you should never, ever measure your progress by what some tester tells you. But on average, there are some interesting things to learn from this. Now, this 0 means this person made no perceivable project? Yeah, no noticeable progress, okay? And this person lost ground. Like heck, okay? That is what tests do for you, is they do not tell you the whole truth, right? This person probably had a bad day in their test, they probably had a very lucky first, anyway, it doesn't matter. What we're looking at is the most important lessons, the takeaway from this. These people down here. A couple of them didn't bring along the medication that they needed for to be high functioning, okay? And they spent some time having a pretty tough time functioning as they would like to. Another person had a tragedy, and a friend committed suicide, and she had a really tough time staying on track. And there were other things going on as well. I mean, that was a big deal. That was certainly a big trigger, but that was tough. We've had many people with tragedies like, I mean, we have many people with tragedies like that, but we've had people with tragedies who have been able to do far better. So I'm saying this was like on top of other things. Okay, so notice the empty quadrant. Okay, that's probably, for me, that is the most important lesson of this slide, of this data. I mean, this is a really, really big deal. The empty quadrant. What does the empty quadrant tell us?
There aren't dissatisfied people doing really good.
There are unhappy people are not. Why do people do really well? What is the key to learning? Time on task. What would you say? Enjoy. Okay. So it's time on task.
That's what I was
You
gonna say.
you stay. So our son, when he was on the program, and I can think of other students who were like him, wild horses could not have kept them in the apartment, right? Wild horses could not keep them in the apartment. Wild horses, that's all I'm missing. Okay, so anyway, sometimes he would spend 10 or 12 hours with his friends. You're required to spend 2, right? 10 or 12 hours of engagement makes a difference, right? It really, really makes a difference. And he was having a very, very good time with his friends, and didn't always do his homework. So he wasn't doing his, if you plotted him on this graph, he would have been great in terms of speaking, but if you plotted his reading and writing scores, it would have been another matter, right? Usually those things move in tandem, and it really is, this is a really important principle, that just lots of speaking doesn't get you this kind of progress, okay? There are people here who did lots of speaking too, okay? But it is, it's like that flow chart we were talking about. If you don't keep up in the challenge level and the skill, then you can talk, but if you keep talking about wedding dresses, you know, that's what you can talk about. Anyway, there are plenty of women who will talk about things other than wedding dresses, and plenty of men who will talk about things other than sex, so not to worry. But sometimes this is a little frustrating. Okay. Anyway, so the empty quadrant is a wake-up call to say, I want to take really good care of myself. I want to stay. I want to keep moving forward and feeling. Do you always feel like you're moving forward? I've talked to a number of you already about this. Sometimes you feel like I am moving backwards. I know I am losing ground. I have not. Jaron, did you ever have this feeling like I am losing ground?
There were a couple times. I was just like, well, guess I should change my major.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
I peaked at
I peaked.
211.
Yeah. So, so some of these happy campers who are out here, and part of this comes with, you know, part of it is luck. There's nothing lucky about the feel-good thing. Is that they had friends that they were having great times with. They had, you know, it's a great thing. Now, people here had friends too. They're like the number 36. Look, number 36, number 45, and number 36. They're the happiest campers of all, right? So, you know, this is quite possible. But there's this thing about, you know, it takes a little bit of that eustress and yeah. Anyway, probably enough said on that. Probably enough said on that slide. Jump in anytime if you want to inject some comments. Yeah. By the way, we're doing better than this now. This was 2011, and Project Perseverance was kind of new. We were just rolling it out, and a lot of the interventions that we were trying to get people to do, they wouldn't do them. Like, for example, we would say, write about your feelings, and people are like, oh, that's busy work. And then over the years, people have realized, ooh, we've seen the statistics on people who don't process, you know, who don't do this stuff, and we have. It's very, very rare nowadays that we have people who are supposedly not having any progress. These people all make a lot of progress. Just that we're much better as a group.
I'll just say one thing. Just I'm a nurse, and one of the problems that we've had.
Why don't you come up here?
I'll just say it real quick. I don't need to.
Face the camera when you talk.
I don't need to be on camera.
It needs to hear you.
The camera needs to hear me. So I don't know. Every single time we've had this happen, not a lot, but to a couple of students that think that the regular medication that they take, they don't need. For some reason, they don't need to bring it. They can do it without it. They've got new motivation. They've got new desire or something, and they don't bring it. And you cannot get it. Some kinds of medication you just can't get in Amman. You can't get it in Jordan. So, and it takes a while to get enough supply for while you're there. So you need to start ahead of time, because you can't ship it to you. It can't be shipped to you, and people can't carry it over to you. And so it's critical that you start ahead of time with your insurance, with your doctor, with whatever, and bring enough supply so that you have it for the whole time that you're there, because when you don't have it, you really truly spiral down, and there's really not a whole lot we can do to help you if you don't have the medication that you're used to taking. So I just want to put that plug in.
Thank you. Comment.
One advice, I don't know if anyone else here is diabetic or has that. Is anyone else here diabetic? No? All right, so I have to start, kind of stockpiling insulin, but for any kind of medication, one method is discussing with your doctors. Sometimes insurance can really push back, but your doctors really want to help you. And so one thing they can do is they can up your dosage. Even though you don't need that or use that amount, they can start upping it.
Creating
and you can
prescription.
start creating a stockpile. So that's one method you can talk with them about.
Good to know. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's workarounds, but just please bring it, because it's really disheartening. It's really hard when there's students that are struggling because they don't have their medication. So,
Okay. Do you remember Zoltan? Everybody met Zoltan? Some of you have not met Zoltan, right? Who has not met Zoltan? Oh, yeah, so we've got a few who have not met, a good number who have not met. So Zoltan Dönye is a Hungarian fellow who got into teaching English as an act of subversion. He was living in Hungary, communist Hungary, and wanted to engage in something that would help to overthrow. Anyway, awesome guy. But and Zoltan's a professor at the University of Nottingham, and I'm pretty sure this is Sherwood Forest behind him. And I think he talks with Merlin. Anyway, smart guy. So Zoltan, who is the guru, kind of looks like a guru, elfish guy. Zoltan talks, is the guy on motivation studies in second language learning. Really, really sharp guy. And one of his conclusions that I think is right on the nose is we need to shift our focus. That is, we as language professionals need to move more towards helping learners become better at self-regulating, and more proactive. That flow chart I showed you is one way where you can do that, where you can take the steering wheel and say, I don't have to just wait for what comes at me. I can prepare and I can seek out opportunities. Let's look at a couple of other ways that we did a study of journals from Jordan, and these were some of the things that themes that emerged from these journals. They were, talking about cultivating relationships, agentic perspectives on emotions. That is, I can step back and say, why am I feeling so down, right? And you can say, I need to go for a walk. I'm not necessarily like Jaron had talked about how he started out his experience feeling like, oh my gosh, these guys are so much better than me. And then realized, oh no, I've got my gifts and I've got my strengths, and each one of us can help each other. And so you can nip those feelings of, oh shoot, I should change my major, into maybe I should reserve judgment about changing my major. Maybe the Lord has something in mind for me to learn here that is more valuable than being the head of the class or having the, being whatever it is, right? Okay, taking the long view, recognizing small victories. I'll show you a great example of that. Self-care. These are all themes of people who really prospered, did well. And taking control of interactions. This is a really cool cool stories to come. Here we go. Let's go. Eliza, not her actual name, says, I made a few friends a couple of weeks ago, and this week we went down to the Ballet together, the downtown, which is nice, and also reassuring that I have in fact made progress despite what my speaking partner might feel like. This is actually the quote from the young woman you met earlier. Okay, she was, Okay. I'm realizing there are always things to work on and things to choose not to be discouraged by, and that I instead need to be reminded that I am making progress, and that as I continue to notice my mistakes and try to fix them, I will continue to improve. Okay? This is someone who is journaling and who is one of the principles of really important principles that we live the story we tell ourselves. If you tell yourself, I cannot do this, it is very possible that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you think about, okay, if you realistically take stock of a situation and you can narrate yourself right into a much different outcome. Okay, taking the long view. The fellow said, I had that turning point. when I realized this isn't the end of my learning experience. I can still learn after this. This was a guy who breathing was really, really beneficial. So taking, breathing helped him to center and get back into the game. The small victory of this week is that I feel I can better hear and separate words when native speakers speak. That's week 1, okay? That was just saying, oh my gosh, everything does come at me kind of fast, but I actually am starting to hear things a little clearer in terms of where that word's, okay? Here he is at week 9. I realized I was like, this isn't working. I feel like I'm getting worse or something. So I think if I remember right, that was the time I was like, I need to breathe. I remember him talking about gripping the table. Whether it just be sitting there and breathing or actually taking a break and say, okay, after 9 o'clock it's over and I have to stop. Even if I'm not ready, the diminishing return at this point is not getting any better. I did practice meditation. I wake up in the morning sometimes. I wasn't always consistent, but I'd breathe and just get ready. Let me tell you another breathing story that I don't have in here. Had a student who is now training to be special forces. And he said, and he got toward the end of the program, he said, I was so stressed. And it wasn't about the program. He was stressed about his life and providing for his wife and how am I going to make a living? And I said, I was so stressed about life. He said, but I used breathing to focus, and I was able to, and anyway, he had this amazing OPI. I may have told you about this guy who was a total outlier. Not because he was the most amazing language student, but because he had, in terms of, superstar, everybody said, oh, you're going to be the most likely person to do whatever. Score super high. But because this guy had struggled so much, but he had used that chart, he used these can-do statements, and we will talk about this maybe another time. He had used that to just, kind of like Forte, he had just got really good at talking about very specific things he wanted to be able to talk about. And I asked him, I said, so how's that? Anyway, he ended up doing very well, and things are moving on nicely in his life. I asked him, talked to him on the phone a couple of months ago or so, and I said, so how's it going? And he says, hey, they tried to teach me to breathe. I knew it. Anyway, so useful stuff. In case you're thinking about special forces. All right. Our friend again. So this was so cool. These two, Kristen and I, Crisanto and Kristen, they were going to quit. I mean, he was going to quit in second year, and Kristen said, it's you. We are going on. We are pressing on. And so they're in Jordan, and they were working really close together, and using can-do statements to leverage their way forward, and it's kind of like the Forte thing. And she said, so we're like, okay, we know we're going to talk about women's rights in class today, but let's not just close it off at the beginning, and then we would assign each other a devil's advocate kind of position. Okay. It's like, okay, I'm going to be against you, so even though I agree with you, really, this will make it work. And we felt, in a lot of days, felt really good. It's like, okay, we did it, There was a big debate, people got invested, and they're like, okay, this is how I feel. That's maybe not the most clearest way of articulating it. That's how people speak, right? They would basically plot what was going to happen in the classroom, because they knew that if everybody said, well, of course everybody wants things to go this way. They said, no, one of us is going to really play the devil's advocate. And they would make sure that they were prepared, and they would turn their classroom into a really, really interesting discussion, rather than just going to class and saying, okay, teacher, make it happen. They took it on themselves. Yes?
an example from my year on the program. In my sister's class, we were in different classes. There was one student who was just like 100% committed to taking a ridiculous position every single topic, and like he would just go as far extreme as he could in like the opposite direction of the majority of the class. And every single week, his teacher would be like, he's so annoying, but my goodness, he has got some versatile language. He just gets that done. They were talking about like representative governments and whether or not there should be a quota for the number of women. And one of the students was like, I don't think that we should like require a number of women. He's like, I think that the US government should be entirely made up of women, and they should all be able to prove Native American descent. And that was his argument. And I'm actually like pretty susceptible to that argument, but like he did not believe that at all, but he was super committed. Just the entire class period is like, but why not? And would like push back on them. And then people would realize that there was parts of the language that they were missing out on because they're like, yeah, I think that we should have like democracy and stuff, whatever. We should vote. So that's like, you can like stretch your language in ways that like are fun, and then also this is like a choice that you make. You can choose to push yourself, and you can choose how you're going to push yourself.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, I'll tell you about Alyssa. So, Alyssa is one of my heroes. So after Jordan, she went to the Olympics in LA, helped to volunteer, the volunteer position, not a bad internship. Helped to with the Special Olympics, and this is how Alyssa got involved in coaching young women in Jordan. She's very athletic. She said, my advice for study abroad, students, I worked really hard, but I also had a lot of fun. For me, taking time to serve and develop relationships not only helped my Arabic, but I just genuinely enjoyed myself and didn't ever stress out. Balance is key. I always did my 2 hours of homework. I always exercised. I made scripture study a priority. I found ways to serve, and doing those simple things carried over into every aspect of my experience. Before going to Jordan, I made a list of goals and what I wanted to get out of the experience. That really kept me on the right track and kept me proactive. Here are your goals. Have fun. Speak Arabic as much as possible. Do the homework every day. Be in the apartment as little as possible. Really focus during class. Follow all the rules. Befriend everyone in the group. Encourage and serve other students. Get enough sleep. Eat healthy. Exercise daily. Try new things whenever possible. Keep the Sabbath day holy. Pray and study scriptures every day. You'll hear a little echo of some of what I talked to you about in the Alyssa has made me a believer, and others like her. In fact, I want to read it. I want to read from the journal of a student here in closing. I was extremely grateful for our BYU class yesterday. We did a processing session. So he's processing at the end. This is week 4. People are starting. And by the way, at week 4, we read. Any of you know Seth McCombie?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, so yeah. So Seth is a.
That's the reason I started right here.
It's the reason you're okay. So
That's why I'm here.
he's a very inspiring guy. Okay, and we read Seth's 4-week. So Seth had already been a missionary, and he was like a returned missionary, having spoken Arabic, right? So everybody pretty much figured that Seth had always been pretty much walking on water. And we read one of his journal entries from the 4th week. He was so discouraged, and like the students were like, "What? You get discouraged?" Anyway, so everybody has some tough times. So this guy is writing and he's saying, I was extremely grateful for our BYU class yesterday, especially because I always feel very motivated after class. But I actually had the opportunity to have time to think about it after class because I didn't have another class to run off to. I was thinking about what we talked about in class, and I've been trying to I've been thinking about how I am now and how I was on my mission. I was using WHOOP. WHOOP is this, it's a thing for helping you to visualize the things you want to do and the challenges that you'll face, and we'll talk more about that. Without using the WHOOP app, trying to figure out what exactly is the challenge or roadblock in myself, stopping me from really putting forth everything I have to learning Arabic. Because I'm putting forth all of my effort in the classes, but I just feel like something is still missing. What was shared about someone's reflection about their mission is what really helped to analyze my feelings. On my mission, I really had a strong desire to learn Portuguese. Not strong enough to study before going on my mission, but I'll skip ahead. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, what I am going to do with my. I don't know what I am going to do with my Arabic. That was me when I was in Egypt. And boy, do I wish I could go back. I honestly, Lynn might not. No, we had a fun time in Egypt. That first year was anyway. So I honestly feel lost as to why I need to study it, because over and over again I try to find ways to go further after this, and I found some, but I don't know what will happen. I know the Air Force will not let me do much with it because they don't need it. I can't go to grad school yet because they own me for at least 6 years, and I cannot seem to rework my schedule to be able to fit Arabic into it and still graduate on time. I know, however, the Lord wants me to, and I trust the Lord with all of my heart, but I am struggling to put forth my best effort. This is really smart stuff, processing this experience in writing. So I realized that is why I'm struggling. However, today at church, the emphasis was that of trusting in the Lord's plan. President Clark, or Elder Clark. President Penrod, the district president we talked about, been living in the Middle East for 14 years, first shared his experience with his life as a younger man and building up his family and the challenges he faced. Then in Sunday school, we talked about the saints and their faith in building up the temple in Salt Lake, and how they persevered to finish the temple, even though most of them didn't have a vision of what it would look like, or even any idea. And a lot of them didn't even live to see it finished. The final touch was my own personal study of today's third hour topic. I understood what was going on in third hour, but it wasn't until I began writing this that it all began to really fall into place, because the topic or title of the talk is, "Whatsoever he saith unto you, do it." So I feel that the message coming across is to keep trusting the Lord. I know of a surety that this is where I am supposed to be. I have felt the Spirit confirm it, and I have seen the Lord perform miracles throughout the last couple of years to make sure I got here, and I am just going to have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I know it's a process, but I hope that I can I can truly give everything of myself. So, as such, this week has been encouraging with regards to my Arabic. I have noticed that I am making progress. Today, for example, was the first time that I could not only understand a good amount of the talk from Elder Whitney, but I was actually able to follow along with the words. And the greatest miracle was that when I was lost, I could find where we were in the talk. That was huge. I was able to skim and find the words I did recognize, and find where the translator was. I also feel that I am improving on my overall reading skills. Finally, I am making more progress in my speaking as I am beginning to realize some of the things I struggle with, such as certain words or phrases, so I can focus on them. I am really looking forward to this next week, and I am excited that this week was successful. And that happened. These breakthroughs happen because he's doing like Alyssa said, right? He took time out. It's really easy to take the Sabbath and say, wahoo, no classes, no whatever, Netflix all day long, go downtown. I'm not saying at all that you shouldn't be involved. In fact, I would say go out and talk to somebody. There's a cool Bedouin family that lives nearby, and that would be an awesome thing to do, to go and talk to this Bedouin family. But taking time, not playing this game of oh my gosh, I just want to run away from Arabic. with taking time to say, hey, what's going on? What happened this past week? Why did I feel discouraged on such and such a day? What went well, and so forth. This is magic. Not that. You're not seeing what I'm seeing. People who do that, people who stop to, where's the one I want to shoot? People who pay attention to what's happening with their head. I've been thinking a lot of negative thoughts about this major. I think I need to step back and reconsider. We'll be on 1 minute. Anyway, we can talk more about this. Enough said. Thank you very much. Thanks for your patience.